Okay. Without further ado, Jamie, I'm going to let you take the floor here. For those of you that don't know, Jamie's out of the Southeast under Jeremy Weissman's territory, also known as Vice Squad.
Vice Squad.
She was gracious enough to take an hour of her day out of her very, very busy schedule to find some time to help coach us and teach us her method. If you were here at PartnerCon and sat in on this session, this is somewhat similar to that, but I think to the next level. The importance of, the training element of this and actually putting you all to work, hopefully, and maybe some accountability behind it, followed up by me. So, Jamie, I don't want to take the floor from you. I'm going to put myself on mute and give it away to you. You have co-host controls, correct?
I do.
Wonderful. Okay.
Cool. Hey, everyone. How is the weather where you all are? It's 110 degrees here in South Georgia today.
Is it really?
It's supposed to be. I've been inside other than I had to run out for an appointment, but it was freaking hot. So I just got back. We were on vacation last week in Santa Fe. And man, I can tell you there is a difference in New Mexico than there is in South Georgia. So cool. Bryan, I don't know how much folks know about me. So I don't know how much you've kind of given off, but I'm not good at this, so I have to do a slide. So I'll toot my horn a little bit and let you know that what I've done is something that each and every one of you can do. There is no reason why you can't. So last year I was honored at PartnerCon. Actually, it was Icon, wasn't it? When we had the awards and they announced that I had won MVP for the Southeast region. I was sure I didn't. I also won President's Club. For the year, I sold 155 apps. Now, the year before that, I sold 22 apps. So you're thinking, what happened? What's the difference? I bought 2 new cars, and there's a story behind that. But you may have seen my announcements last year about buying a Kia Stinger, beautiful sports car, which I ended up having somebody pull out in front of me and totaling. Which is one of the reasons I have this shake, and I'm having a particularly bad day with the shakes today, so I apologize for that. And then bought a second car this year. I got multiple 5-figure checks. Who wants a 5-figure check that they really didn't do a heck of a lot of work for during the month? Yeah, okay, I see some hands. Now, I love interaction, guys. I do much better when you guys are feeding back to me versus being just a talking head. So we'll all get a whole lot more out of it if we interact. And my husband and I got an all expenses paid trip to Hawaii. Who wants one of those? Only 2, 3? Okay, there you go. Bryan wants it.
Oh yeah. Cool.
And in Hawaii, Clayt challenged us. We had 3 of us who were partners there. It was me, Danny Hammond, and Sarah Laws. Clayt wants at least 10 there this year. So who's interested in being one of those 10? There you go. Cindy's ready. Denise is ready. Cameron's ready. All right. So now those are the glorious side. It looks like I had an amazing year, right? What you may or may not know is I also had a hellacious year. In March, I had a dog bite, which turned into a bacterial infection and a broken hand and 4 days in the hospital on like major antibiotics. And the loss of the use of my hand for 6 weeks, it was in a cast, and then 6 months of recovery to try and get it back. And literally the day before my last PT appointment, my last doctor's appointment, was the car accident, which shattered this wrist And I ended up in a cast for another 6 weeks, having only the use of one hand. So I don't know if you remember, Bryan, when they were announcing the MVP, they said, and this person literally did this one-handed, which just cracked me up. So I hear people all the time say, but this is happening, but I can't, and comes up with all kinds of buts. I had all kinds of excuses last year, but I continued and I focused, and I had a hell of a rewarding year because of it. So anybody want to see what they can do? This is month 6. You can turn around and do what I did easily because you've got both hands, right? So double time. So when Bryan asked, I thought we'd talk a little bit about a couple of things. One of my skill sets, and one of the things I've seen with partners who, and I'm going to turn my fan on, it's getting hot in here. One of the things I've seen with partners, with salespeople in general, with clients that I'm working with, is they're focused on traditional means, and they're not looking for possibilities, for opportunities. So I want to give you some insight into how I look into opportunities and find places that other people are like, wow, how did that happen, right? Because I've looked and I've explored, and I haven't just taken what came to me. Here's another little tidbit you may or may not know about me. I did all of this spending $0 in paid advertising, right? So we're going to look at how we do that. The second thing is making the sale. The other thing that I see challenging people is they jump on and do a demo and then kind of just expect everything to happen. And I'm here to tell you, I didn't do a single demo last year. Not one. I did do an overview video that I shot on Loom, but it's not a demo. It's just a, here's all the stuff you get with it. And it's like 5 minutes. So I may send that to people if they want an overview, but I did not sit and demo software to any of the 155. By the way, I just got a really cool email from Anker that I've hit 200 apps in the last 18 months. So it's possible. That's like astounding to me. I can't believe it. And it really wasn't difficult. So, and then finally, the last piece, and I only have one slide on it, so we're just going to chat about it briefly, but getting those 5-figure checks, one of the big pieces is retention, is keeping the people who come on board and making sure that they get a good onboarding. Now, could I take 155 people and onboard them properly in an individual session? Not really. Not if I wanted to do any of the other. By the way, not only do I sell Keep and have a digital marketing agency, my husband and I have 4 other businesses in addition to the marketing agency. So we are extremely busy in what we do. So we have to make the most of it. So I'll let you in on my onboarding secret and how I do that. So exploring new opportunities. The first place that I start to look is my current clients. So think about for a minute, and I've got the worksheet, so we're going to go into this in depth when we go into the breakout rooms. But think for a minute about who your clients are. Everybody got an idea? Now think about who their clients are, right? CPAs are a perfect example. Coaches are a perfect example. Attorneys, business attorneys are a perfect example. They have clients who need what you do. They have clients who can use the products. And when you've made them extremely happy in what they're doing, you've solved challenges, you've gotten them more time, you've identified processes that they can build consistent outcomes from, then when they're extremely happy, I go to them and say, now, who of your clients needs this too? Who of your clients could use what we do? And we start having conversations. And most of the time, all of these clients they're thrilled because their CPA, their attorney, their coach, whoever it is, has said, hey, I see this challenge. Here's a person who can help you. Let's get it together. Now, sometimes I'll put together a webinar with that client so that they're introducing me to their group as a group. Sometimes they're individual one-on-one introductions. So who has some clients that you can think of just off the top of your head that have clients who need this? Cameron shaking his head. Cameron, tell me a little bit about who they might be. Not specific names, just industries. Oh, you're muted.
There you go. I have every button except the mute button on.
The elusive mute button.
Mute button. A couple things. One, I gave a presentation to my networking group a couple days ago, and I was almost answering the question futuristically, because there were people who wanted to talk to me and saw the light of what they could automate in their business and so on. And one was a promotional products company who's out selling part of the customer experience and promotional products every day. So that's already the same problem being solved in a different way. And that definitely made sense to me. I had a conversation with somebody the other day that said they help to manage construction projects, but that means that they work with all of the tradespeople who are involved in every construction project, who typically aren't very good at automation. It seems, you asked me which sector, and I didn't do a good job at answering that, but it seems pretty.
Well, marketing.
Of course,
yeah, they were marketing.
Marketing people,
especially, and I didn't include them in my examples. So marketing, anybody in the marketing industry is a perfect person to think about. So want you to start thinking about who in your current client list can do. Now, some of these relationships, and as I talk about the multiple different opportunities, some of these relationships we are building and working, they're making the introductions for free. There's no payment going back and forth. Others who have higher quality clients who are worth and a larger amount of clients, sometimes I'll make an affiliate option for them. When they refer me, I give them a percentage. One particular one who sends me a ton of people, I give him $10 a month for every app that we sell. So he gets a residual check. So while my check is, 5 figures, his check might be $400 or $500 a month, but that's an extra $400 or $500 a month that he wasn't getting before, and he's thrilled to get it. And he knows his people are taken care of and they're getting the right products. The other thing as you're doing this is, remember, we bring not only our expertise and our knowledge of being able to build it for them or teach them how to build it themselves, but we're bringing a price reduction for them. Initially, they get the discount of 50% for 3 months. And they get a reduced price over what they would get if their clients went out for retail. So they're doing them a service. They're helping me as a vendor who has helped them throughout the time. And they, in some cases, are making some money on it. Sound like a good idea? Cool. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, sorry. I put it in chat, but you can't watch both at the same time. Anyway, what platform are you using to manage your affiliate program? Just out of curiosity.
I don't actually. I just use my Keep commission report. So I go through it at the end of the month and say, these are the folks that I've already identified as his people.
Okay.
So I could use an affiliate, but I only have 2 people that I'm doing it for, and I know who their people are.
Gotcha.
So if
Okay.
I were going farther out, I might look at I would probably use Classic. I use Pro now, or Max, but I would switch back to Classic and create the affiliates that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Personally. Yep. Good question. And if you have a lot of these, then yeah, you probably want to look at an affiliate program of some sort. Cool. All right. Any other questions about current clients? And as Kristen said, I can't watch the screen and check chat. So Bryan, if there's anything that's going on, let me know.
Jamie, is that primarily how you got your clients? This method here, going to
This is
existing
one.
clients?
I have 4 that I'm going to identify
Okay.
for you guys. So
All right,
this
cool.
is one piece. So this probably brought me probably about 20%, 15 to 20% of the apps I sold last year. So, okay. The second one is creating a niche market. And Michaela talked about productizing this morning, coming up with who have you created? So we have several different niche markets. And coaches, speakers, and authors is my primary niche and what I'm known for. I work with some of the big guys and I work with a lot of the small guys. So that's one niche. So in that niche, I have a lot of funnels. They are all looking for marketing, creating funnels, and building what they do. So once I built it, then I started to look at, and in the beginning, and by the way, I've been around since 2014. Yeah. November of 2014 is when I started using Keep. By the way, my story, I was a web designer, went to a Laurel Langmeyer event of all places. Thomas Blackwell was there, talked about Keep. Now, Keep had been trying to recruit me. Matter of fact, the summer of 2014, I don't know how many of you were around back then, there was a promotion and I won, and I still have it, a Southwest Airlines $200 credit, gift card, which I've never used, which is pretty funny. I live in the East Coast, so I don't fly Southwest very often. But I won this card and I wasn't even a partner. They were just trying to recruit me and get me in, and I wasn't using the product. I was like, $300, $400 a month. Are you kidding? My people won't pay that, right? And I wasn't willing to pay it. And then I went to this Laurel Langmeyer event, and Thomas Blackwell, I don't know if any of you remember Thomas. Bryan, were you around to know Thomas? He was Darren's.
No, I started in the beginning of 2017.
Okay. He was what Darren does today, Thomas did. And Thomas was a master at the presentation on stage. And I'm sitting there with my husband. I'm like, wow, I could do that. We can do that. We can do that. Oh my gosh. I didn't know it did that. Oh my gosh. And I started adding up the MailChimp and all the different $25 and $50 a month packages and realized I was spending over $600 a month with Band-Aids and bubble gum when I could quit all that and go to Keep. So understanding the situation I was in personally made it easy for me to convince other people, hey, I was a techie and I was using Band-Aids and bubble gum and it was a pain in the ass and nothing worked and I always had problems. By the way, I do swear every once in a while, so I apologize if anyone is offended. So I think it's part of being a marketer. I think we all do.
No, remember, Jamie, we have the Northeast and we got UK. I think we're okay.
There you go. All right. I love it. Good. Yeah, I've been to the UK a few times and they swear a little more than we do, I think. Excellent.
Only
All
if
right.
you understand it.
Exactly. And sometimes they'd say something and I'd look at them and say, what does that mean? It's kind of like down here in the Southeast, when somebody says, oh, bless your soul, you don't realize they're really saying you're an idiot. So it sounds so sweet on the front, right? Anyway, so I started with Keep in November. My first campaign was a Black Friday campaign. Now, as a web designer, November and December were my lowest months. And if I made $2,000 a month, I was grateful and dancing the jig because everybody was done and not doing it. In November, I did over 4,000 for the month. In December, I did over 8,000 for the month. And by January, I had 4 times what my revenue was. By March, I was in certification because I was like, what the heck? There is something to this. So I got certified. And by November of 2015, I literally 12x'd my company. I went from $60,000 a year, which I thought I was doing pretty good at web design, to $60,000 a month. It's possible. And that was basically because I brought Keep on Infusionsoft at the time and did all that. So when I started building products for people, I built them all in their app. And then somebody else would come along and I'd be like, oh, I've already created something like that. Yeah, I can do it. But of course I had to rebuild it, right? So what lesson did I learn? Start using my sandbox and build everything in the sandbox first. By the way, it also works when you have clients who are paying you by payments. I show it to them in my sandbox, but I don't install it in their app until they've made the final payment. Got burned on that a couple of times. So now that I've been building it in the app, now that I build one the first time, I start thinking about how can I get introduced to more funeral homes, to more tow truck drivers, to more whoever the niche is that I'm working with. So identifying those niches. By the way, I found that most of my clients who are in a niche know other people in the niche and are happy to make the introduction. So I start there. I also, by the way, at times don't do an affiliate thing, but I'll include them in an extra month of monthly support for every person they refer to me. So it doesn't cost me anything. It's a group support program that they're coming into, but they get that for free. So it's a value to them. So niches are the second one. Anybody have some niches that they're working with? Michaela does. Kathy does. Yeah, Cindy definitely does. Cool. Any questions or thoughts or anything you want to add to the niche idea?
I don't know how to make the content be the same because the clients are know each other and their products are different. Like the campaigns could be the same, but like the content in the campaign has to be totally different. So I'm always wanting to learn from you and everybody on how to deal with that.
Sure. So the way we do that is we build a generic form of my husband is a copywriter, so I have the advantage of that. But we build a generic form of the copy and we'll put in blanks where the products, the names of the products or the description. However, we create it as the template that we're then uploading, which depending upon what the template is, in some cases, when they buy the app, I give them the template for free. I charge them to customize it, but they get the template as part of the package, which makes it more interesting and exciting for them to buy it through me versus buy it from Keep Direct, because they have to build it all or pay someone to build it all to start. So that's an added benefit on why they're buying from me. But we then charge them to teach them. And by the way, I've switched my business model. I used to be done for you only. That's all we did was build crap. And I got tired of that. So I do more a teaching model. I give them the templates and I teach them how to edit and change it, or a one-on-one, what I call my next comma coaching, which is a $4,000 a month program that I meet with them 3 times a month and we build it together. So I don't have deadlines or things to meet. I have appointments where I'm walking them through and I give them homework to finish it for our next call. And I do 3 times a week because I'm building a life. I'm building my business around my life. I'm not building my life around my business. So if I do 3 times a month, I have 3 weeks a month that I'm committed and 1 week that is completely empty. I can do my own stuff. I can go travel. I can just take the week off and spend it at a spa, right? Whatever I want to do that extra week. Making sense? Aha moments yet?
Yeah, that's super cool. So on the group coaching, then it's 3 times a month, and then do they get any custom one-on-one stuff too, or how do you recommend?
That's my custom coaching is three 90-minute sessions a month. So that's the private one-on-ones, and that's a year-long program that they join. My group sessions are typically 8-week sessions, and they do a different topic every week. So I just changed the name. It's been called the Automating the Customer Journey, but I've just created Automation Jumpstart. So it's kind of giving them, it gives them 5 templates. And each week we talk about nurturing, lead gen, webinars, whatever the topic is and the template is. So I teach them how to do it in the group session. Of the 8-week group session, which is a $5,000 program, they get 5 templates and they get 2 one-on-ones with me, private one-on-ones. Okay. So niches, are we all good? Any questions on niches? Any thoughts, ahas? Anything I missed in the chat, Bryan? No.
That mute button
Cameron?
again. So some of us in our region have been like, all in or all out or struggling with this idea of moving towards niches and are moving. Some of us have moved not me, actually. Some people in the group have moved entire companies towards a single niche, right? Like Michaela's is a great example and Kathy's is a great example. It sounds to me like you are willing to, it says on there, create first time and duplicate. And then you said tow truck drivers. And so does that mean that every couple of months you'll latch on to something and build some assets and momentum around that thing and then move on to another niche? Can you explain how you have many niches versus some of us gone no niche and some of us have gone one niche? It sounds like you've gone to many. I have
niches. A couple. So first warning is when you decide on a niche, that's your focus for that quarter. So until you nail it and have everything settled. So for me, it takes a quarter. Some people, it may take 6 months or a year, but until you've ironed out all of the pieces around that niche, I don't try and jump into 6 of them at the same time because you'll get totally confused and not do any of it. But once a niche is running and I've already got everything done, then if somebody is introduced to me by a client, by a referral, they've heard my name, they've come to me and it's a new market, I don't say, nope, sorry, I don't deal with that. If it's something I want. Now, if it's a niche that I know somebody else is handling, has already got the market on it, I'll send them to them and say, hey, here's one you can work with and I'll take a referral. But if it's a new one, my neighbor is a funeral home owner. And we were talking, he's like, I would really love to talk about this. So we started and we created some systems and we put it together. And I said, okay, we've done this for you. Now, who can you introduce me to? So he is now introducing me to other people, and he happened to be formerly the chemical representative. He sold chemicals all up and down the East Coast. So he knows all of the funeral homes. So we're getting ready to launch that here shortly. Tow truck drivers, same thing. Somebody we knew said, hey, can you help us with this? And we said, sure, if we help you, you can help us. That created a new niche. So, and they're more than happy when you figure out how to help them. They are more than happy to help you. So the thing is being able to ask and building the confidence in yourself to ask. I think that's where a lot of us kind of go, I'm afraid, right? It's just like asking for the sale. Okay, I told you all of this. Isn't that great? And then they walk away. I'll have some comments on that shortly.
Jamie, can I ask you a question about how you ask? Because that's something that I struggle with. How do you make it easy for them to introduce you to other people? How do you make it easy for them to make that introduction?
Sure. So a lot of times I'll brainstorm with them and say, so now that we've done this, and when I'm starting a new niche, when I'm starting it with a new customer, I'll typically say in the question, in the process, now, is this something you think all funeral home directors could use? Or is this something you think all tow truck driver? Well, yeah, because the software we have really sucks and it's really expensive and it's blah, 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 blah. So I put that in as part of the questioning up front before I ever do. So I'm planting a seed. And then as we start to progress and we've gotten some wins and they're like, oh my God, this is so much better than what we had. Then I'll start to ask now, remember we talked about how other people could use this? Who do you know that you might be able to make an introduction to, or that you can recommend and I can make a cold call to? And can I use you as a reference? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I can make a cold call to somebody in the same industry and say, hey, this is what we've done. I understand most of you are using XYZ software. Here's what we want to do. And oh, by the way, Kurt said you can give him a call. So if they don't know them immediately, they're more than willing to be referrals, references, as I call others. And then I set my VA on it. Go find all the funeral home. Go find these and let's start making the introductions. Does that help, Michaela?
Yeah, thank you. I think in my mind, I'm always thinking that they have to be the ones delivering the information or saying like, here, go to this website or something like that, like go check them out. But what you're saying, or what I think I'm understanding, is that you just ask them for the contact information and then you're the one doing the talking.
So if it's somebody that they know personally and they're comfortable, I'll ask them to simply send a text saying, hey, Susie, I thought you should meet Jamie. Jamie, I'll let you take it from here. So we start a messenger, a text, a email, one of those with somebody that they know personally. If it's not someone they know personally, but they know they're big in the industry, they'll say, hey, you should contact these folks because they can introduce you to everyone. And then they'll be the referral back.
Thank you.
Makes sense? So yeah, so I do it both ways. And it's really just getting comfortable and confident with asking. It's just like referrals. One of my slides I'll skip over quickly because how many of you actually ask your clients, who do you know that we can help make these same amazing differences for? Write that down on a Post-it and stick it on your computer. Don't forget to ask, especially when they come back to you and say, oh my God, you have changed my life. Oh my God, you have saved my business. Oh my God, I have doubled, tripled, quadrupled, 12x'd my revenue because of what you've done for me. That's the perfect time to say, I am so happy and it's my goal to do this for as many as I can. Who do you know that needs what we just did for you? Okay. Oops, I went back. So influencers, pretty much the same as current clients, except It can be people who are not current clients that you get introductions to. So I work with a lot of speakers, coaches, and authors. They have tons of people. They are influencers. And they are happy to take a commission or an affiliate. Or the other thing that I've done in some cases is I teach. So I become, quote, part of the coaching staff because I teach a webinar or seminar or do a group session once a week for them. I don't charge them for it, but I sell Keep apps and I can sell to the clients in the process. So depending upon, I have one that doesn't want me to sell, but lets me sell Keep apps. And I sell enough there that it's worth it for me. So I don't sell my personal services. I can, however, sell other people's services. I can make recommendations to other partners. And I have done that for the support where I'm just helping in the front end. So there's multiple ways you can manipulate that to work out for you. Everyone know what I mean by influencer? Cool.
Hey,
Any
Jamie?
questions on this? Yeah, Bryan.
Yeah, Jamie, I believe it was Cameron Fields that had his hand raised. Cameron?
Oh, great, Cameron.
Hey, how you doing? I do have a question. So when you're out there, like say, for example, your neighbor that was the owner of the funeral home, are you leading? Because you said that you have a marketing company, correct? Are
I
you
do,
leading,
yes.
are you leading with your services and just Keep is part of the tool, is one of the tools that you're using to create systems for them? Or are you leading with automation and saying, hey, you know, this Keep app does X, Y, and Z, like in.
And so there's a funny video I'll have to get to Bryan to show to you guys. A couple of years ago, Cindy remembers, Scott Martineau was interviewing when Keep launched Pro in the first couple of months. Myself, Lindsay, and Inez from the Netherlands were the top 3 people that were selling the app because we were selling it versus Infusionsoft. And Scott was interviewing us and he said, he went through Lindsay and Inez and he came to me and he said, Jamie, how do you sell Keep? And I looked at him with a serious face and said, Scott, I don't sell Keep. And you could just see his face went white, like, what the heck is she doing on this? You know, why am I interviewing her if she doesn't sell Keep? And my answer was, I sell solutions. I sell answers to their problems. Keep just happens to be one of the tools that I use. They don't care if I use unicorn automation as long as it works for them. So the word Keep doesn't necessarily get thrown in until we get to the point of creating the product. So I will talk about automation. I'll talk about systems. I'll talk about creating processes. I'll talk about, you know, whatever it is that we're fixing for them. And then when they say, great, how do we get started? I say, fabulous. Here's the link for this. And here's the link for Keep, which is the tool we're going to use to do that. Make sense, Cameron?
Yes, thank you.
So if you're trying to sell Keep against ActiveCampaign, against HubSpot, against anything, against MailChimp, it's a losing battle because they're going to come up with reasons, you know, back and forth. If you're selling, and not a losing battle because Keep is far superior in my mind to all of them. However, they all have opinions and they've heard this and they've heard that and they're comparing pricing. And I just don't want to get into that game. I want to get into, here's the solution and here's the products we need to make that solution work. Cool. Excellent. All right. So influencers, and then the final group, oops, I missed it. The final group is associations. So Bryan, have you talked about the workshop program with them?
I have before. I'm sure they could go for a refresher.
Sure. So we have the program now, which Matt Vosberg is overseeing, which allows you to create I think the rules are quarterly, but I tell them monthly. I do a monthly webinar where I can sell apps and services, and the association gets a free Keep app up to, I think, 75,000 contacts, if they allow us access to their people. So associations, nonprofits, chambers, things like that fit into that group. So that's one you can look at. Okay, so everybody have at least one idea on where you can start looking for opportunities that you weren't looking before? Cool. The worksheet, Brian, did you pass out the worksheets yet, or do I need to attach them?
No, I haven't passed them out yet. Just
Okay,
figured
good.
that you just attach it here. And I think we're just going to stay in one room because the breakout rooms were kind of goofy last time. It's just probably best we just stay in one room and work together.
Okay, cool.
That's
Do
a
you want to
question.
attach those now, or you want me to? Oh my goodness, there's 63 contacts. So if anybody has questions that I missed or comments, please raise your hand and unmute and speak up. Go ahead, Cameron.
I was going to ask if there are questions coming up after the workshop or just now, because I hope this is timely. If not, we can park it.
Oh,
But
sure.
could
Yeah,
you
that's
give
fine.
us some insight into your day, your life, and the basis of this question is that I feel like as an entrepreneur, a lot of the ideas you've discussed, I've had the idea. Like I've got a note page that's about doing signature talks to chambers of commerce. I've got a note page that's about more niche plays that I'm interested. I've got like tons of plans and not a whole lot of time. So how did you tackle actually getting traction on having lots of these? You have 4 different strategies. How did you get all 4 of these plates spinning and keep them spinning? And so I love all of your ideas and I want to take some of them. And then I'm thinking, how am I going to get to these and actually get these plates going? So what's your day like?
One at a time. First of all, just like the niches, the strategies are the same way. Pick one and focus on it. This is a strategy for this week or this month or this quarter, whatever it is. And in the worksheet, which I just uploaded, at the end of identifying all of these different pieces, so I have a page for each one of these strategies we talked about. At the end, I talk about where is the low-hanging fruit. So once you've identified through these 4 strategies, look at the one that can be most fruitful, most profitable, quickest. Knock that one out first. Then go to the next one, then the next one. So I expect from this worksheet, you guys have a year's full of activities. Now, the other thing I do, my days, Monday through Thursday are actually Monday afternoon through Thursday is open for clients. Monday morning and all day Friday are get shit done for my business. So I do not take clients. I focus on today, we're going to do this. We're in the process of launching our first podcast. I do all my filming for courses on Fridays. I do, if I have a big client that I'm working with I have one right now who has 2 very large projects. So I gave him an hour on Friday. So I'll selectively give a little bit of time, but it's when it's something that is extremely profitable and I'm working on. But mostly it's do it myself. By the way, I've done this. My husband is a copywriter. Now he has his own clients and he writes copy for our clients. I have a part-time programmer in Pakistan and a 30-hour-a-week VA in the Philippines. So I pretty much, the majority of the work we're doing, because it's mostly coaching these days, I have a couple of private clients that my programmer does builds apps for, but we're not doing a whole lot of building. And we did We did $250,000 last year in this company, plus all the wins that I got from Keith. So with a small group. So you can do it as a individual just as easily as, you know, the others. Pat myself on the back. The others that won this all have big agencies. They have big companies with multiple people working with them. I had me and 3 part-timers. So these strategies work. And as I said, I did them myself last year and I did them one-handed. So there's no reason you guys can't take these and run with them and do similar types of amazing things with it. Okay, so that's the ideas. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the sale. So how many of you love to sell? Yay, Cindy, yay, Kristen, yay,
We
Bryan.
don't sell, we solve solutions.
There
I
you
mean, we
go,
solve problems,
Evan.
not solutions. We solve problems.
You solve problems, right? So if you start looking at, you're giving someone the opportunity for you to serve them, that changes the mindset. It changes this scary, oh my God, I have to ask for money. What if I'm not good enough? We all have those thoughts. I've been doing this for years. I tease 2 things. One, I've been a salesperson since I was a Girl Scout. I always had to win. So I've always had that competitive sales spirit. And 2, my bachelor's degree was information technology. My master's is marketing. And I have children who are the age of some of you. So if Al Gore invented the internet, I claim I invented digital marketing because it was long before the internet, right? So I'm much older than most people think I am. All right, referrals, we talked about closing the sale. So I want you to think about the sales process, whether it's an app or services or the process that you're going through, as having a conversation to find out how you can serve them. All right, mark that on a Post-it. How can I serve you? It's just like McDonald's, right? You want to upsize that? What can we get for you? Drive-through. So I already talked about demos. Don't fall into the demo trap. It'll get you every time. Now, the first question that I ask when I'm talking to somebody new, and by the way, I've attached the worksheet as well as a second, it's actually an opt-in that I have, which is the 11 closing questions that I use. So I gave you all 11 of them with a little more detail. I'm going to cover 4 of them here, which are the major ones that you want to cover in the process, but I've given you the whole 11.
Hey, your mom's not here.
I'm sorry. Oh, guess not. So the first question is, what inspired you to book this call with me? It might be, well, so-and-so, you know, raves about the time that you created and I need to fix, I'm spending too much time in my business, so I need to figure out how to solve that or whatever. So they're going to tell me why they asked the question. Now, one of the other things, I've seen people give people sales scripts. You sound like a robot. Don't ever take a sales script word for word. Have you ever gotten one of those calls and you answer a question and then they say, so have you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just told you that, right? So don't become one of those sales robots. Use a sales script as an outline, as a set of points that you want to address. You might have certain phrases in a sales script that are great. And I'm going to give you 1 or 2 of those on the next slide. But a sales script should be a guide, not a word for word. Same with videos. If you're shooting videos, I never like to do teleprompter because I sound mechanical when I do a teleprompter. I'm much better off if I do bullet points on the screen that they can't see and I'm just talking because I'd rather just talk. It's a conversation, right? So what inspired you to book this call with me? Second one, if you can wave a magic wand, what would you want to change in personal, professional, and financial? And I ask all three. Why do I care about what they want to do personally? And why
So-
should they tell me?
Those roadblocks could be what's getting them to stumble professionally and financially.
Exactly. Or it could be the thing that's holding them back. Exactly. Could be the thing that they really, really want. You know, how many of us read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, right? All these people read 4-Hour Work Week and said, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. It's a pandemic. I'm going to do it. And guess what? They don't have a 4-hour work week. They have a 4-hour sleep week because they work their asses off trying to build it and don't know what they're doing. So finding out what their personal goals are, you could, you know, one of their goals may be, I want to go to my kids' soccer games. I want to take a vacation. I want to make more money. Well, guess what? You can help with all of those things. And knowing what their goals are helps you to speak in their language. How many of you have put your head on the pillow at night and had conversations going on, going blah, blah, blah. You need more sales. You need more clients. You need more this. You need more that, blah, 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 blah. Well, as you ask this question, you're going to start to find out what that conversation is that's going on in their head. And if you can match and join that conversation, you can close, you don't have to close them. They close themselves every single solitary time. Okay. All right. So personally, professionally, financially. In the sheet I gave you, I go into a little more detail on that. As they tell me what these are, I'll say something to the effect of, well, that's really interesting. That's really cool. I love it. Why is that important to you? It's a key question. That's a phrase I do want you to use. Write that one down. Why is that important to you? By the way, in some cases, I'll continue to go deeper. When they give me an answer, I'll say, cool, well, why is that important to you? So I become the intrepid 3-year-old. Ever have a 3-year-old say, why, right? I want to get to the why that is so deep in the pit of their stomach that if I solve that, I could charge $1 million for them because they wouldn't care. So I don't necessarily on a prospecting call go 9 levels deep, but when they become a client, I do, because I want to get to the root of it and make sure we solve it. Okay, question number 3, what is stopping you? What would it mean if we solve this? Well, it would mean I'd get better sleep because I wouldn't have all those conversations going on in my head at night, right? Is this feeling relevant and real? Think about the conversation. They're going to say, well, wow, you know, nobody's ever asked me that. They just try and sell me. Well, I'm concerned about making sure that if we have a solution for you, that it's solving the right things and making sure that you know, I can sell you what you want, but I need to give you what you need in the process. And question number 4 is another key one. What is it costing you to not solve this? Well, I haven't been to my kids' soccer games all year. I haven't taken a vacation for 5 years. I'm getting burned out. I haven't seen my wife, my husband, my dog, right? So what is it costing them? See how these can help?
These questions were huge for us when we sold them on the direct sales floor. These were impactful And these are the things that when we were talking about earlier this morning with retention, because now you can bring these points back up when they're afraid or when they're
Yeah.
thinking about quitting. This gives you
Exactly.
this gives you that ammo to bring that back up to them. Well, you said this, Jamie.
Exactly. That was my next point. Thank you, Bryan. So absolutely. Once you've gotten this, you've gotten to the heart of what's important to them. And when they balk and say, well, I don't know if I'm ready. What's that? What's going on there? They have some sort of block. If you bring them back and say, now I understand and I heard you're not ready. However, you just told me XYZ was your goal and that making that it's costing you your relationship, it's costing you thousands of dollars, it's costing you whatever that cost is. And that if you solve it, this is going to be, was that true? They're going to go, oh, yeah, and realize that they really want or need. So it helps you overcome those objections. Okay. And this, like I said, there's 11 whole questions on the sheet I gave to you, but these are the 4 most important as you go through. Now, the next thing I do, and
Hey, Jamie, real quick, only because it might be on that topic real quick. Looks like we had a raised hand.
oh, Michaela, go ahead.
Yes, I didn't want to unmute myself because it's kind of noisy here. What do you do if they say, well, yeah, but can I see it? So that you don't fall into that demo trap. Because I think that's where I get stuck a lot, is we go through those things and they're like, well, I want to know what it looks like. I want to know these, So how do you steer the conversation?
And it depends on the conversation. So you're going to have a feel for it as you go through. What I'll say in some cases is, does the tool really matter as long as we give you the solution that you're looking for? And most of the time they're going to say, no, not really. So, I can say, well, I'll send you an overview so you can see what it looks like, but it's really simple. I don't want to get into the weeds. Your time is more important. My time is more important than that. So I'll go through, and go back to the reasons why we're doing it. And by the way, these questions work whether you're selling an app, whether you're selling services, whether you're selling a car or a house or an island somewhere, doesn't matter, or cupcakes, right? Where was the cupcake lady? So it doesn't matter what you're selling. These reasons, I've used it for packages from $2 to $200,000 and not had a problem, because when you get them on this question, they're thinking about their results and their solutions. I find most of the time they don't go back to the weeds. They're not worried about the weeds. They're more big picture. And yeah, we need to solve this. This is the solution. Does that make sense, Michaela?
Absolutely. Do you also, so when you ask them the magic wand question and then they give you that answer, do you say, well, great, we can do that? Or do you just continue on with the questioning?
I continue on. I do not try and sell during any of those questions. I don't try and this is the time when it's all about them. It's not about me. I'm not beating my chest. So I'm getting all the details. I'm getting the focus. I'm figuring out what the best plan of action for them is. And then when we've gone through that, I'm like, okay, great. Now I understand. And I'll read back to them my understanding. So I taught Stephen Covey's 7 Habits years ago, right? So the old repeat what you've heard so that you understand what they said. So I'll say, okay, so let me make sure I understand this. Your goal is this, your challenge is this, it's costing you this, and this is what the difference would be if we solve that challenge, right? And they'll go through and say yes, or I'll get clarification if I'm wrong, right? And then I'll say, okay, so let's talk about solving that challenge. So here's what I have that we can solve it. We create this, we do this. I I don't get details. Again, it's overview. We'll teach you how to use this. We'll give you this funnel. We'll help you customize it to make it your own. That solves the, well, what if I don't like it? And this is the price, or this is the program. And they'll say, great. And let me finish this. So I'll talk about a couple of things here before we get into that. So I like to ask them questions. So at the end of that, after I've clarified what they've done, I'll start and say, so what if we could find you more time in the week, if that was one of their hot buttons, right? What if we could simplify the process and make it more consistent? What if we could process orders while you sleep? What if you could wake up to notices that you had sales overnight, right? What if we could track exactly how many prospects are in a stage pipeline? So depending upon what it is that's important, what are the what ifs that you can pull? And when you say, what if we can do this? They're like, oh my God, yeah. And then you hit the second one that addresses one of their challenges, concerns, or goals. Oh my gosh, yeah. And then before I even go into price, I'll talk about, are you ready to start? Are you ready to get started with this? Yeah. And then they'll say, what's the price? And I'll say, here's the price. And most of the time it goes fine. If they balk at the price at that point, that's when, like Bryan said, we go back and say, now, wait a minute, this and this was what it's costing you to not fix this. And this is what it's costing you to fix it. You know, are the two relevant? Do you see how this is going to solve this and it's worth much more to you in the long run? Make sense? Michaela, you look a little bewildered.
No, I'm absorbing it all. It absolutely makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. Excellent. Any questions?
Jamie, I have a million questions. Hopefully the group is not annoyed by my voice yet for the day. What is
giving me a break so I can drink?
I think I recall you talking about your kind of mid-tier program. This is the sub question. Your mid-tier program, your Jumpstart, which is like a bit of coaching and a bit of done by them, I think you said was 5K. What is your actual close? So if that conversation is gone, you've not sold during those 4 questions, then you start with the, what if we could give you time back? What if you could close more? What if? What does your close look like? Like, do you have a deposit link? Do you have a document will come soon? Like when you know that they're ready to buy, what's your moment? Or maybe I've jumped ahead. Maybe that's an upcoming slide.
Nope. I didn't address that. So I am a firm believer in not putting it in their hands because they will talk themselves out of it, or somebody else will talk them out of it. So I use checkout forms that I process, and I take their credit card. Great. So if you've got the credit card, let me process this for you. So I process the order for them. I personally, and I probably do as I say and not as I do, I personally don't use contracts. I believe that if they're unhappy with me, I'm going to do what I can to fix and solve it. And if not, I'm going to let them go. I don't believe in being held. I just bought some software. By the way, I highly recommend you stay away from FlowChat. I spent $2,000 for the year for the software. It was an upfront price. I tried it for 30 days and I hated it. And I asked for a refund and they fought me. And I tried doing a credit card, whatever you call it, when you say this is not good product. And they had the right technical stuff in their contract that I got screwed out of $2,000. I think it was like $2,500. And then on top of that, they discontinued, they pulled my user thing, even though I paid for it, and said, well, we're waiting for confirmation from the credit card company, so you can't use the software. So I lost 3 months of use on top of all of it. I don't believe in running my business that way. I do it on a handshake. Now, others do have contracts, others have great stuff, and I highly recommend it if that works for you. For me, I don't. I just take the order, process it, and make them happy.
I love your answer to that, that you have the checkout form and it's like in your back pocket, ready to go. Not even back pocket, it's just ready to go during the call.
Yeah.
And do people part with, like, is pay in full common, or do you have to say, well, let's separate $500 from them now and you'll get an invoice for the balance? Like, are people ready to pay in full for
When
your
you've
stuff
done
on the
this-
spot?
Yeah, most of my stuff is paid in full. When you do this process, they see the value because it's personal to them. It's no longer just a business transaction. It's personal. And they're willing to go for it. Now, in some cases, if they say, yes, I'm ready, but I literally don't have the room on my credit card, or I don't have this, then I'll say, well, what can you do today? And then I'll do an invoice where I'm processing and doing the payment, but I'll do it as a deposit and then a balance, automated balance due in 30 days or whatever. So, cool. All right. I see we're running over, Brian. Want me to go over retention real quick?
Yeah, if everyone's still cool with it, I know we got a couple hot seats coming up, but I would say if you can crank it out in 10 minutes or less.
Yep.
But there you go.
Cool. So we're good on the thing. By the way, the worksheet, I highly recommend you take an hour of your time and work through all the pages. I'll show you what it is real quick, but so retention is important. I decided that selling the numbers of apps, and there were months that I sold 15 and 20 apps, taking out time to do onboarding for each one. And I give my onboarding for free. That's one of the benefits. That's one of the reasons they buy from me. So I do what I call a play date. This came from another thing I was doing. I was doing a webinar with Scott on his playbook last year, early in the year. And when we were doing the call, literally as we were starting, my husband and I looked at each other and said, we forgot to create an offer. What are we going to do for an offer? And I'm like, all right, well, if they buy Keep, we'll give them a 4-hour training on it. And he said, what about a play date? I was like, I love it, right? So we call it a play date. So I give them an overview. I set up the calendar and payment processing and app, the phone app. So I kind of took, if you guys remember the 3-day challenge that the insurance guy out on the West Coast was doing, I kind of took the elements from what he was setting up because I liked how he made it sticky, and I turned it into a 4-hour course. So I have them send a text to me, which gives me their Keep number, but also teaches them how to send the texts. We import their list. We walk through the playbook and get the best plan of action on what their next step, because they could all be different. And I'm doing this, I do 10 max per group. So I may do a 4-hour play date twice if I sell 20 apps in the month. I show them where to find the campaigns and how to get them installed. I walk them through editing the campaigns. And this final piece, I have them send an email blast to the group. And I don't know if any of you have done digital marketers training certification, but Ryan Dice years ago when I took that gave us the how can I help you move faster? It's literally one paragraph, and I have them send this email. One of my clients had a fairly big list, but literally 2 weeks after this email blast was sent or broadcast, they had $50,000 in revenue that came from this email. So it's highly effective and gets them started and gets them excited about, oh my goodness, these are the possibilities with Keep. Okay, any questions on that? And I do it by Zoom, just like this. I have, instead of by the other way, the other thing I've learned in the technology, when I'm teaching, I do what I call tech days or these classes. I don't pull my screen up and show and tell. I use Vanna Whites. I say, who's going to be my Vanna White? and I make them pull up and share. And whoever is the slowest is usually the one I'm showing the most often, because it saves me time in them figuring it out, and it gets everybody on. And when somebody, the other reason I do it on Zoom is when somebody looks like, you know, they've got that face like, oh my God, I'll say, okay, Cindy, we're pulling you up next. Let's share your screen, right? So it gets them involved. Michaela?
Yes. Do you do the 4 hours straight, or do you have breaks?
I do 4 hours straight. I give them a 10-minute break at 2 hours. Okay. And that is taking what some of you may have thought when we started was impossible, and hopefully opening up the realm of possibility. Some new ideas, any ahas, any light bulbs going off for anyone?
I think we got some more questions in the chat. Cameron, Kathy?
Kathy, go ahead.
Sure. So you said campaigns. How many? Is it all the easy automations or the advanced automations?
The ones I give away are all advanced automations because we can publish them. Easy automations we can't publish yet.
Oh, that's
So
right.
I teach them how to use easy automations, but I give them advanced ones.
Okay. Like a handful or 2 or 3 for this?
Depends on the program. With the 4 hour, I don't give them any. Depending upon where they came through, they, you know, certain webinars or seminars I've done, I may give, like at Icon last year, I gave away my webinar campaign to anybody that attended the seminar and opted in. So I'll use it as an opt-in for people that are buying. My 8-hour course or 8-week course, which is 8 hours, 1 hour a week. I give them 5 advanced campaigns. So it just depends, but they're paying me $5,000.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, okay. Excellent. And I'm not sure which Cameron it was.
Tulloch.
Cameron Tulloch.
It was just a brief one. It was, I might have missed it. That 4 hour, is that just because somebody bought, if you were speaking from a stage and somebody bought Keep, did they get the 4 hour, or are you charging money over top of what Keep is paying you in commission for the 4 hour?
If they bought Keep through me, they get it for free. If they bought Keep from someone else, but they want to take my class, I charge them $397 for it. So it's a benefit to buy through me. Okay, there's my contact information. I love working with partners. I do have a course that I put together, and I have a mastermind that I'm putting together. So if anybody would like to work with me one-on-one, it's much reduced over what I charge my clients. So feel free to pop me a line or text me, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. The documents. So this one is the questions to close, and I go through all of them for you. And this one, the other one I added to the chat, is the worksheet. Of course, now that I'm trying to find it, I got 85 things. Downloads. So the worksheet is slow. Is fighting me, but there we go, wrong slide. Whoops. The worksheet, the first one, first page is your current clients, what industries they're in, current clients who need you, so CPAs and coaches. I have some things to drill down. Influencers, what products or services. So this is helping you go a little deeper in each of those steps. And then lowest hanging fruit. And what your 9 levels of why are, so that you start really focusing on why you're doing these strategies, why you're thinking about what you're doing, and why you want to go to Hawaii in January with me.
Yeah, the more of you I get there, then I get to go there too.
Yeah,
Selfishly.
exactly. That's how Vice got to go. He had 2 of us.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, this was gold. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and really sinking in with the team. And you know, between her and Michaela, folks, you know, again, huge thank you to you both. Both of them have some tremendous courses and platforms that they have. I encourage you, you know, if you have the funds and you feel like there's value for you to sink into them more, please reach out to them directly and, you know, jump in and invest, because I know there's people in this group that have done that and the ROI has been there. So I am going to